Solar farms are transforming the way we harness energy with massive installations stretching across deserts, plains, and even water. These sprawling fields of solar panels generate enormous amounts of renewable energy, helping to power entire cities and reduce carbon footprints. Join me for today's video. We're exploring 15 of the largest solar farms in the world. Starting with number 15, the Lyondale Solar Farm in Australia. The Lyondale Solar Farm, which is in the Riverina region of New South Wales in Australia, became the largest solar farm in the country when it opened in 2021. Developed by RWE Renewables, this massive project was a major milestone in their transition to renewable energy, and with a capacity of 313 megawatts, it is capable of powering up to 105,000 homes each year. The facility has 872,000 collectors and covers an area of around 2,200 acres, which is equivalent to more than 1,200 football fields. There's continuous strong sunlight throughout the year down here, which means electricity production is consistent, and it's also on flat terrain and is near to the existing electrical infrastructure, which reduces transmission losses and means it was easily integrated into the national energy system. The work on the solar farm began in late 2018, and it was completed within just 3 years, but it was a hugely complex project. One of the important features of this solar farm was its use of single-axis tracking systems. Now, these allow the solar panels to follow the sun's position throughout the day, maximizing energy capture and improving its efficiency. There are difficulties, though, as delays in connecting it to the national grid and technical adjustments slowed down the initial ramp-up of energy production. These obstacles have now been mostly overcome, though, and the solar farm is now fully operational, delivering clean energy to the grid. Number 14. Mesay Solar Park in the United States. Found in northeastern Texas in the U.S., the Mesay Solar Park has a capacity of 324 megawatts and is the largest in the state. It's an example of Texas's move from its traditional oil and gas industries towards a more balanced energy mix. The solar park covers an area of just over 2,800 acres, has hundreds of thousands of photovoltaic panels that capture the sunlight in the region. Texas has particularly high solar irradiance, which is the measure of light intensity in an area, and this makes it an ideal place for projects like these. The solar park takes full advantage of that climate to produce clean and renewable energy and is enough to power over 65,000 homes. The construction of this solar farm created hundreds of jobs, providing temporary economic boost to the surrounding communities, and the operational phase of the project has brought long-term benefits, like tax revenues and investments in local infrastructure. This farm also uses single-axis tracking technology where the solar panels can follow the sun throughout the day, and this increases their efficiency and overall output. Now, this is critical for meeting the high demand for electricity in Texas, particularly during the summer months, which means that the state has one of the highest uses of electricity per person of any region in the world. By generating clean energy, it helps offset around 300,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions every year, which is the equivalent of taking nearly 65,000 cars off the road. But it ain't all been easy. The Mesay Solar Park faced several challenges during its development and commissioning phases. It's also part of a mixed energy approach in Texas whereby solar projects are becoming increasingly common, but wind energy also is playing a major role too, meaning that if the weather means one falls in production, it'll often mean the other increases. Number 13. The Ivanpah Solar Power Plant in the U.S. The Ivanpah Solar Power Plant, which is in the Mojave Desert of California, has become one of the most important renewable energy projects in the U.S. Covering an area of around 3,500 acres near the California-Nevada border, this facility is a concentrated solar power plant using innovative technology to harness the sun. Operational since 2014, Ivanpah represents a significant leap forward in large-scale solar production with a capacity of 392 megawatts. Unlike traditional solar farms, Ivanpah uses a system of mirrors known as heliostats to focus sunlight onto central receiver towers. The facility consists of 3 power tower systems, each surrounded by tens of thousands of heliostats. These mirrors are programmed to track the sun throughout the day, reflecting it back to a boiler that's mounted on top of each tower. This intense heat generates steam, which then drives the turbines to produce electricity, a design that allows Ivanpah to achieve high efficiency levels, even under variable solar conditions. The project was completed at a cost of about $2.2 billion, making it one of the most ambitious solar projects of its time, and it was designed to produce enough electricity to power 140,000 homes, while offsetting over 400,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions per year. Environmental concerns were raised regarding the impact on desert wildlife, particularly the endangered desert tortoise. So, to overcome the issues, developers implemented conservation measures, including habitat relocation and monitoring programs. The plant has also faced problems because of its impact on bird populations, as the concentrated sunlight can confuse any birds that fly near the towers. Early in its operation, the plant experienced lower than expected energy output due to factors like weather variability and technical issues. It also showed that CSP plants are far more expensive to build than photovoltaic systems, which have seen a significant cost reduction over the past decade as the technology improves. It's mainly for this reason that the facilities like this aren't being built all over, even if they are potentially more effective at generating power from sunlight. Number 12. The Kurnool Ultra Mega Solar Project in India. The Kurnool Ultra Mega Solar Park, which is in the Kurnool district of Andhra Pradesh, is a revolutionary renewable energy project that set a new benchmark for the potential of solar power generation. Covering an area of over 5,900 acres, the huge solar farm has an installed capacity of 1,000 megawatts, making it one of the largest solar parks in the world when it was brought online in 2017. The solar park was developed under India's National Solar Mission, which aimed to establish India as a global leader in solar energy by achieving a target of 100 gigawatts of solar capacity by 2022. And while this target was missed, mainly because of a slowdown in development during the COVID pandemic, the country has certainly contributed hugely to the development of the technology. Over 4 million solar panels have been installed across the site, generating clean energy that's enough to power nearly 800,000 households. The panels are positioned to capture maximum sunlight in the region, which experiences higher solar irradiance throughout the year. The project offsets as much as 200 million tons of carbon dioxide each year, and it's helped diversify India's energy mix, reducing its reliance on fossil fuels at a time when energy demands are increasing. Some of the technology developed for this park has also helped further potential for other projects, such as the advanced monitoring systems that are used to ensure the solar panels operate at peak efficiency, and the water conservation techniques that use robotic cleaning systems to maintain the panels, which reduces water usage in dry regions. Number 11. Noor Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. Noor Abu Dhabi, which is in the Swayhan region of the United Arab Emirates, is one of the largest single-site solar power plants in the world. The project, with a name that means light in Arabic, was done to show the UAE's commitment to moving towards renewable energy and reducing its dependence on fossil fuels. With a capacity of 1,177 megawatts and an estimated cost of $870 million, Noor Abu Dhabi covers an area of almost 2,000 acres and has more than 3.2 million solar panels. There is plenty of sunlight in the country, so these panels are some of the most productive in the world, and with an efficiency rate of 93%, this plant provides power for 90,000 people in Abu Dhabi. Impressively, Noor Abu Dhabi achieved one of the world's lowest tariffs for solar energy during its bidding phase, showing the gradually decreasing costs and increasing competitiveness of solar power in the global energy market. The environmental benefits here are major, as by generating some clean energy, the plant offsets approximately 1 million metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions in a year, which aims to increase the share of clean energy in the total energy mix to 50%. Technologically, Noor Abu Dhabi is using advanced systems to ensure its high efficiency for energy. The use of these panels that were specifically designed to withstand the harsh desert conditions help to ensure the plant's resilience and longevity. Robotic cleaning systems are also deployed to maintain the panels, which can get covered in sand particles and cover around 1,000 miles or 1,600 kilometers worth of solar panels each and every day. Number 10. The Kalyon Karapinar Solar Power Plant in Turkey. The Kalyon Karapinar Solar Power Plant, which can be found in the Karapinar district of the Konya province, is the largest solar power plant in Turkey, and it's been a major driver for the country's move away from imported fossil fuels. Costing an estimated $1.3 billion and with a capacity of 1.35 gigawatts, the plant is a flagship project in Turkey's renewable energy plan. It covers an area of around 7.7 square miles or 20 kilometers, and the power plant is part of Turkey's Renewable Energy Resource Areas program. This initiative hopes to speed up the development of clean energy infrastructure and to encourage the training of skill domestically, as well as boosting Turkish manufacturing. The project was overseen by a leading Turkish energy company in partnership with the Turkish government, and after beginning construction in 2020, it became operational in 2022. Now that it's fully completed, it's able to generate 1,700 gigawatt hours of electricity each year, which is enough to power around 600,000 households. The facility uses a bifacial solar panel, which can generate electricity from sunlight absorbed on both sides of the panel. This innovative design increases energy output compared to traditional photovoltaic panels, and when combined with single-axis tracking systems, which allow the panels to follow the sun's movement throughout the day, it was one of the most advanced and efficient solar farms at the time. This has all meant that the environmental and economic benefits of the Calyon Karapinar solar power plant are huge, as, along with reducing greenhouse gas emissions, the project has improved Turkey's energy security. The plant does also employ thousands of people, and it's shown that Turkey has a number of places that are suitable for solar power plants like these, and it's created one of the world's leading solar research facilities. Number 9. The Sudair Solar PV Project in Saudi Arabia. The Sudair Solar PV Project, which is in Saudi Arabia's Riyadh province, is a groundbreaking renewable energy project that's one of the kingdom's leading initiatives to help diversify its energy mix. With an installed capacity of 1,500 megawatts, it's part of Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 program, which aims to transform the nation's economy and reduce its dependence on oil. Developed by a consortium led by ACWA Power, a leading Saudi renewable energy company, and backed by the Saudi Public Investment Fund, this project is part of Saudi Arabia's Renewable Energy Project Development Program, which plans to develop over 58 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by 2030. The plant covers an area of about 11.9 square miles or 30 square kilometers in Sudair Industrial City and costs around $924 million. Plus, it's got more than 4.5 million solar modules and uses advanced technology to capture the sunlight of the Arabian Peninsula. The project is still working its way up to full capacity, but it will eventually be able to generate around 1,500 megawatts of electricity, which is enough to power 185,000 homes. It will also offset an estimated 2.9 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions per year. With Saudi Arabia's having pledged to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2060, it'll be projects like this one that make that possible. During the bidding process, this plant achieved one of the world's lowest levelized costs of energy for solar power at just 0.014 cents per kilowatt hour. This shows just how competitive solar energy has become in Saudi Arabia and shows that economies of scale, advanced technology, and lucky climatic conditions can drive down renewable energy costs. Number 8. The Tanger Desert Solar Park in China. The Tanger Desert Solar Park in Ningxi, China has become known as the Great Wall of Solar, and it's one of several developments that are a part of China's move to a more sustainable future. With an installed capacity of 1.547 gigawatts, it's an enormous facility that covers an area about 16 square miles or 43 square kilometers and was the solar park with the largest peak capacity in 2018. The development of the solar park was led by several state-owned and private companies as part of China's broader efforts to accelerate its renewable energy transition. Completed in 2015, the project was built in phases, with each phase further adding to its capacity. It now powers over 600,000 households, making a significant contribution to the region's energy needs. Technologically, this solar park uses advanced panels to capture sunlight and convert it directly into electricity. These panels are supported by inverters and monitoring systems which optimize energy production and ensure the facility's efficient operation. Solar parks of this size have the potential to have a major environmental impact, offsetting millions of tons of carbon dioxide emissions each year, which significantly reduces air pollution and helps China meet its climate goals in comparison to the alternatives. The project was taken on to help with the country's commitment under the Paris Agreement to reach peak carbon emissions by 2030, and then to achieve carbon neutrality by 2060. Economically, the solar park has stimulated local development too, as its construction and operation of the facility have created jobs, boosted regional infrastructure, and attracted investors. There are difficulties in using a place like this for a solar farm though, mainly because of the harsh desert environment, with frequent sandstorms and extreme temperatures which pose some challenges. Dust easily accumulates on these solar panels, and this reduces their efficiency. It means they need regular cleaning and maintenance. But not to the extent as other facilities, with a large reliance remaining on human workforces to keep it operational at peak output. Moving on to number 7, the Benban Solar Park in Egypt. The Benban Solar Park, which can be found near the city of Aswan in southern Egypt, is a flagship project in the country's attempts to refocus their energy production. It's got a total capacity of 1.65 gigawatts, and it's been operational since 2019 as part of the Egyptian government's Sustainable Energy Strategy of 2035. The chosen site was in the desert of the Nubian region on a 14.5 square mile or 37 square kilometer plot that's ideal because of its high solar irradiance. This stretch of barren land, which is unsuitable for agriculture or other building products, has been turned into 41 individual solar power plants, which collectively form a solar energy hub that feeds directly into their national grid. Historically, the country has relied heavily on natural gas and oil for electricity generation, so with increasing energy demands and global commitments to combat climate change, they launched the Feed-in Tariff program in 2014 to attract private investments in renewable energy. The project was therefore financed through the combination of private investments and loans from international organizations like the World Bank's International Finance Corporation. This public-private partnership model not only allowed for the construction of Midon, but also highlighted the possibilities of large-scale renewable energy projects in emerging markets. The total investment in the solar park was more than $4 billion, making it a major economic milestone for Egypt. The electricity produced by the solar park is enough to power more than 1 million households, based on the average consumption in Egypt, which has reduced the country's reliance on fossil fuels. This project has formed a blueprint for how Egypt will manage to hit its goal of sourcing 42% of its electricity from renewable sources by 2035, with several more farms like this one planned in the coming years. Number 6. The Al Dhafra Solar Project in the UAE. The Al Dhafra Solar Project, which is in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates, is a renewable energy initiative with a capacity of 2 gigawatts, making it one of the largest single-site photovoltaic projects on the planet. This solar farm is in the Al Dhafra region of Abu Dhabi, which is a location that was chosen for its high solar irradiance and the vast desert landscape. Covering an area equivalent to 4,500 football fields, this project was designed to provide clean electricity to over 160,000 homes and to offset approximately 2.5 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions. The use of advanced monitoring systems and cutting-edge technology, including bifacial solar panels and robotics for panel cleaning, means that it can continue operating at peak performance while minimizing the usage of water, which is pretty important in the desert conditions. There was a lot of interest in making this project happen, as it gave the opportunity to try newly developed technologies at such a scale that the end price would be competitively low. It did set a world record for the lowest tariff for solar electricity that had ever been proposed, at the equivalent to just over 1 cent per kilowatt hour. This price was reliant on the solar conditions of the region, a competitive bidding process, and the specific technology being used, so it's not replicable everywhere. But the more that prices drop like this, the more appealing green energy sources will become around the world. Number 5. Paraggada Solar Park in India. The Paraggada Solar Park is a massive solar facility that covers an area of over 13,000 acres and has a total capacity of over 2,050 megawatts. Operational since 2019, its development was overseen by a Solar Power Development Corporation, which is a joint venture between the Solar Energy Corporation of India and the Karnataka Renewable Energy Development Limited. This project was commissioned as part of India's National Solar Mission, which aimed to achieve 100 gigawatts of solar capacity by 2022. The region here receives plenty of sunlight throughout the year, making it ideal for solar energy generation, as is the land and the environment that's unsuitable for agriculture or other forms of development. Importantly, the landowners were willing to lease their land to the government for the project, which gave over 2,300 farmers a fixed annual rent for their land, ensuring a steady income while retaining ownership. The park was developed in a modular way. It was divided into smaller plots of 50 megawatts each. These were auctioned to private developers for construction and operation. Now, this approach allowed a number of energy companies to take part, including the major players. The modular development also reduced the risks associated with having just one developer and sped up the construction process, enabling the project to become operational within record timeframe. In the end, it only took 2 years to complete, and it now generates around 4,500 million units of electricity each year, which is enough to power over 700,000 households. Using advanced technology, including monitoring systems and efficient inverters to optimize performance, this site uses robotic cleaning systems to ensure that the solar panels remain free of dust. It is a blueprint that's been proven to be successful, and it's a much more cost-effective way to build solar farms on this scale. Number 4. The Bodla Solar Park in India. The Bodla Solar Park, which is in the Jodhpur district of Rajasthan, is the largest solar park in India, with an installed capacity of 2,245 megawatts. It covers an area over 14,000 acres in the Thar Desert, which is a region with high solar irradiance that's ideal for generating solar power. In fact, seen as one of the most suitable locations in the country for a project like this region receives intense sunlight for most of the year. The solar park is divided into 4 phases, each of which was developed by different public and private sector organizations. Companies like Acme Solar and Andani Green Energy and Azure Power were the main contributors to the development of the Bodla Solar Park, with each constructing and operating their own parts of the facility. This then meant that the park was built in phases, with construction beginning in 2015 and the final phase becoming operational in 2020. The land acquisition process here was relatively simple, as much of the area was empty and unsuitable for agriculture, and unlike other Indian developments, the state government used land leasing model, offering compensation to landowners who would retain ownership of the land. This solar park now generates approximately 9 billion kilowatt-hours of electricity annually, which is said to be enough to power over 4.5 million homes. By replacing fossil fuel-based electricity, it offsets more than 8 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions. New technology did have to be designed for this project in particular. Solar panels are typically designed in a way that means they're usable in places around the world in different types of environments. But the places like this solar park that are exposed to the most sunlight become, as a result, inhospitable environments. The temperatures here can reach in excess of 122 degrees Fahrenheit or 50 degrees Celsius, which can be damaging to the equipment and to any employees that work there. To overcome this, the developers of the project used newly designed heat-resistant materials and enforced strict safety protocols. Its remote location proved to be a challenge too, as this required huge investment into upgrading the transmission infrastructure to be able to handle the large amount of electricity that's generated. But now that that's been done, it's a reliable boost to the national grid at a time when India is developing at a pace unlike ever before. Number 3. The Mengshi Blue Ocean Photovoltaic Power Station in China. The Mengshi Blue Ocean Photovoltaic Power Station can be found in Inner Mongolia and is China's largest single-capacity photovoltaic power plant. There's been a huge drive in the country to move away from polluting energy methods towards renewable ones, and this is an approach that's perhaps no more clear than what's happened at this site, because the entire power station has actually been built on a former coal mine. Having become officially operational in early November of 2024, it's got a capacity of 3 gigawatts. It's in the middle of the Gobi Desert and covers an area more than 17,000 acres, which is the equivalent to about 10,000 standard football fields. This huge area is covered with over 5.9 million solar panels, which makes use of the desert sunlight to generate electricity. The project uses several technological advancements to improve efficiency compared to other solar projects in the world, and represented the first large-scale use of new rare earth alloy grounding materials, which have reduced the overall costs by 40%. Steel foundations were also used instead of traditional concrete, which reduced the impact on the grassland ecosystem and means the diameter of the piles used to hold each panel in place are just a quarter of what they would have been. Other new technology at this development includes the Arctech Skywing single-axis dual-row solar tracking system. Now, this is a system that's expected to improve the plant's annual average grid-connected capacity by almost 7.5% by optimizing the angle of the solar panels as they follow the sun. Thought to have cost in the region of $1.7 billion to build, the Mengshi Blue Ocean Photovoltaic Power Station has only opened relatively recently, so it'll take a while to reach its peak production. It is, though, expected to be able to generate 5.7 billion kilowatt-hours of electricity each year, which is enough to power around 2 million households. But one of the more unusual and innovative aspects of this project is the idea that, even though there are solar panels, it doesn't have to mean that they're the only things on the land. Known as an agrivoltaic model, fine forage and sand-fixing plants have been cultivated beneath the structures, which have created grazing grounds for sheep and chickens. This combats one of the biggest criticisms of solar energy farms and could be a model that's replicated elsewhere as further farms become operational in the coming years. Number 2. The Midon Solar Power Plant in China. Staying in China now, the Midon Solar Power Plant set a record for being the world's largest solar facility when it opened in May of 2024, with a capacity of 3.5 gigawatts. It was a project that was developed by China Green Electricity Investment of Tianjin, a subsidiary of China Green Development Group, which is a major energy investment organization, and it's believed to have cost in the region of $2.13 billion to complete. The plant has over 5.2 million 650-watt monocrystalline bifacial double-glass photovoltaic panels, which are an advanced design that can capture sunlight on both sides. To support these, extensive infrastructure was needed, including over 1.2 million supporting piles, 5 booster stations, and more than 130 miles of transmission lines. In total, the plant should be expected to generate around 6.09 billion kilowatt-hours of electricity each year, which should be enough to power around 2.5 million households. The solar plant takes advantage of the area's plentiful sunlight, which makes it an ideal location for such a large-scale solar project. Its success so far has shown an ability and commitment by China to develop massive renewable energy projects, not just like other countries by encouraging companies to invest, but by directly devoting funds, resources, and manpower in the form of military engineers to make it a reality. Number 1. Tatan Solar Power Station in China. So we're going to finish this off in China for the last 3. The Tatan Solar Power Station, also known as the Gonghe Tatan Solar Park, is a renewable energy project in the Gonghe County in the Hainan Tibetan Autonomous Prefecture. And it is the largest solar power generating facility in the world, although rather than being one solar farm, it is technically a number of them that are together on the same site. Covering an area of 235 square miles or 609 square kilometers, it's an installed capacity of 8,430 megawatts, which is more than double that of any other solar facility on the planet. Plans first began in 2012 with the power station meant to become China's first 10 million kilowatt class solar power base. This project was developed in phases, attracting investments from 91 energy organizations, including 63 solar companies and 28 wind power firms. The solar park uses panel modules with a rated capacity of 420 watts and 445 watts, which improves the energy conversion efficiency. Positioning, combined with high-efficiency panels, means that the site is able to produce a substantial amount of electricity. This was, of course, a hugely costly project that took more than $3 billion to complete. Not just because it produces such a large volume of clean electricity, which reduces the reliance on fossil fuels and decreased greenhouse gas emissions, but because it's turned the region around as an example of how things could potentially work across the rest of China and the world. Rather than being a part of the initiative that provides power to the eastern regions of the country, the electricity that's generated here is integrated into China's national grid, but is mostly used locally in that province. This solar project, along with several other initiatives, means that in this region, clean energy accounts for 93% of its total installed power generation, and far more than its total usage. If these figures can be replicated elsewhere, then the Green Revolution will truly have happened. Thanks for staring into the sun with me. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you to our channel members.